Letters to Saleem. Saleem Kunam Katut. Who belies Deen? Translated by Abdus Sattar Ghazali. Letters to Saleem, number 12. Saleem. You have asked the meanings of taxi bi Deen as mentioned in Surah Al-Maun. However, indirectly this question also includes some other points that are related to Salat and Zakat which need explanation. This letter will not cover a detailed explanation of that, but I will try to make you understand their meanings. Root word of Salat is Salah, meaning walking behind somebody. Salah al-Farasa Taslaya is said when the second number horse is running just behind the first number horse in a race. The whining horse is called Sabakan and the second one running behind as closely as possible is called al-Muzali. Now the meanings of Salah is clear, that is walking behind somebody. Hazrat Umar is quoted as saying, Sabaka Rasulullah wa Salah Abu Bakr wa Thalatha Umar. Tajul Uruz. Rasulullah was first to go, after that Abu Bakr and Hazrat Umar was third to go. Imam Raghib says that the Quranic verse,
قالوا لم نكن من المصلين.
We were not of those who walked behind prophets. 74:43. The meaning of Salat becomes clear from these examples. It means that to act upon the divine law, walk after the divine guidance. This abidance is not confined to a certain aspect of life, but it covers the whole life. Hence it will mean that following the divine law in every aspect of life, completion of those duties, which are imposed by these laws. That system within which a human being fulfills his duties is called Deen. Salat is not confined to the namaz gatherings but it covers the whole life. Therefore, Salat will be a complete system of Deen. Gatherings of Salat, which are called namaz, are part of this system. Actually these gatherings are the practical exposition of faith that we have to spend all our life in accordance with the divine law and not to bow before any other law or decision. This makes clear that the concept of Salat is not confined to the namaz gatherings but it covers the whole life. After performing namaz, we should not think that we have completely fulfilled the duty of Salat. We should understand that we have fulfilled only a part of Salat duty. It will be completed only when we surrender our whole life to the divine system until the end of our temporal life. Meanings of Salah.
فلا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون.
Allah hath chosen the faith for you, then die not except in the faith of Islam. 132. In other words, the system of life is that which Allah chose for you. Hence you should live according to it throughout your life. Now it is clear that meaning of Salah is walking behind somebody. This meaning is further supported in Surah Al-Qiyamah where Sadaqah is used as antonym of Kazaba, and Salah is used as antonym of Tawala as follow.
فلا صدق ولا صلى ولكن كذب وتول.
Who does not testify, Sadaqah, to our law of retribution, who does not take, Salah, the straight path, who, instead belies, Kazaba, and tries to escape, Tawala, from it. 75:31-32. Sadaqah means to authenticate, to prove and Kazaba means to belie. Tawala is used as antonym of Salah. Therefore, Salah is the opposite of this behavior, Tawala, in which a human being does not go along the straight path but finds ways to avoid it. Here it becomes clear that according to the Quran the meaning of Salah is walking after somebody, as closely as possible, on the right path. At another point, the word Salat is used with the same meanings. In Surah Al-Nur, after referring to the qualities of objects and birds it is said,
ألم تر أن الله يسبح له من في السماوات والأرض والطير صفات كل قد علم صلاته وتسبيحه والله عليم بما يفعلون.
Seest thou not that it is Allah whose praises all beings in the heavens and on earth do celebrate, and the birds, of the air, with wings outspread? Each one knows its own, motive, prayer, salat, and praise, tasbih. And Allah knows well all that they do. 27:41. In other words, Quran says, if you ponder it seriously, you will conclude that everything that exists in the universe is very seriously and fervently active, throughout the day and night, performing its destined functions. Just see the birds which with their wings outspread fly thousands of miles across the sky to reach their destination, doing so without any outside guidance or signpost. They never get lost because everything in the universe knows its destined functions, salat, and also knows how to perform it, tasbih. Therefore it is busy achieving its destiny. This is because of Allah's light which is spread all over the universe. It is because of this light that everything in the universe is fully aware of its destination and of the ways leading to it. Allah also knows everything that everyone is doing. Obviously, here salat and tasbih does not mean the same namaz that is performed in mosques, but it means those duties that are assigned to those objects that is to follow the law for the abidance of which they have been created. Tasbih means putting all efforts to fulfill duties. This is the reason that I translate akamataz salat as nizami salat. Where Allah orders akamataz salat, it means establishment of nizami salat, Allah's nizam. Gatherings of namaz fall within that system. However, the duty of salat is not confined to mosque but it embraces all aspects of life. When a human being joins a salat gathering, he is performing salat, and when he follows the divine law in other matters of life, at that time too he is performing salat. The concept that salat covers other aspects of life is apparent from this verse also. Hazrat Shoaib told his people.
قالوا يا شعيب أصلاتك تأمرك أن نترك ما يعبد آباؤنا أو أن نفعل في أموالنا ما نشاء إنك لأنت الحليم الرشيد.
They said, O Shuaib, does thy religion of prayer command thee that we leave off the worship which our fathers practiced, or that we leave off doing what we like with our property? Truly, thou art the one that forbeareth with faults and is right-minded. 1187. In other words, when Prophet Shuaib invited his people to establish salat, prayer, they replied him, when you prohibited us not to obey anyone other than Allah, we thought that you want us to follow your way of worship. But now, we see that it goes beyond that. Your salat does not allow us to follow the religion of our ancestors only, but it also does not allow us to use our wealth as we wish. You behave as though our ancestors were ignorant and you alone possess reason, and you are the sole sympathizer of the poor. Here it becomes clear that spending of wealth in accordance with the divine law is included in salat. I hope that this point is clear, that I do not say that salat does not mean namaz gatherings. Namaz is a Persian word and not of Arabic language. My point is that this duty, namaz, does not end there but covers the whole life. The person who does not join the namaz gatherings, he is abstaining from salat, and one who does not follow the divine law is also abstaining from salat. I am always emphasizing this point, that when we perform namaz, prayer, we think that we fulfilled the duty of akamataz salat. We should understand that with the performance of prayers we have fulfilled only part of akamataz salat. This duty will be fulfilled completely only when we will spend all our life in accordance with the divine law. Only performing namaz, while spending rest of the life in violation of the divine law, cannot make us musalli. Only the person who spends all his life following the divine law is musalli. This fact is explained in Surah Maryam v. 1959, as follow. After referring to those prophets who were blessed with divine rewards, it is said,
فخلف من بعدهم خلف أضاعوا الصلاة واتبعوا الشهوات فسوف يلقون غيا.
But after them there followed a posterity who missed prayers and followed after lust. Soon, then, will they face destruction. 1959. In other words, Quran says, these people, prophets, possessed admirable qualities, but their successors were unworthy people who simply neglected the system of salat, prayer, and instead of following the divine laws pursued their own gains and desires, shahwat. Now they are being given another chance, in the form of Quran. If they lose this too, then very soon they will find themselves facing utter destruction. This makes clear that there are two paths of life. One path is that where a man follows his own thoughts, and the other path is to follow the divine law. Quran says that those who follow their thoughts and desires practically abandon the path of salat. Therefore, salat means following the divine law. It is also indicated that by losing of salat, that these people keep the formal shape of salat but overlook its real purpose. It is now clear that salat means that one should conform to the divine law in all matters of life, and who does not do that, he is practically abandoning the real salat. This is one aspect of Deen. The other aspect is that Quran gives special importance to the system that is related to human development. As a matter of fact, the real purpose of Deen is development of human life, which includes development of human personality and human body. Development of human personality means full development of all human potentials and abilities. The part that is related to the development of material life is called economic system. Quran tells us that the basic principle of human personality development is that the human being should work hard, and whatever is extra with him after fulfilling his needs, should be kept open for the development of others. In the terminology of Quran, it is called zakat. It means growth and providing means of life. As is explained in the verse 87 of Surah Hud, that is referred earlier about Hazrat Shuaib, Salat system has a deep connection with the economic system, rather both are interconnected, that is why in Quranic Qimas Salat and Atuaz Zakat come together. Who belies Deen? After understanding the two basic points we now go further. In Surah Al-Maun, it is said,
أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين
Have you ever pondered over the plight of the person who orally submits to Islam but in practice belies it? 107.1. In other words, his conduct testifies that if Deen is represented by his deeds, then all its claims are wrong. It should be noted that this verse does not refer to those who reject Deen but those who belie Deen. The answer to who belies Deen is given in next verses.
فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين.
Then such is the man who repulses the orphan with harshness and encourages not the feeding of the indigent. 107.2.3. In other words, the essence of Deen is that no one should in the slightest feel that he is helpless. If for some reason a person's needs are unfulfilled, then he or she should be helped at once. However, see the attitude of this religionist. He pushes away the helpless, neither assisting the needy nor inducing others to do so. Saleem. You may be thinking that Quran will say that the man who does not believe in God, belied Deen, or whose faith is not correct etc. But Quran does not say that. According to Quran, a belier of Deen is who, although claims to be having faith in God, shuns away an orphan or person who is left alone and nor arranges food for miskin or struggles to establish a system for that. As is explained earlier, in Arabic language yatim is not only a minor whose father has died, but its real meaning is someone who is left alone. The society gives respect to those only who are attached to some group, party, or band. But if someone is left alone, he is not respected, rather he is shunned. A society where an individual, who is not part of a group or does not have power, finds himself alone, according to the Quran is a bad society. We all know and feel that in our society most of the people find themselves alone. However, in this respect we are not alone. America and European nations are well ahead. Sometimes back a book was published in US by prominent journalists who collected data that reflected the condition of the American society. I will not go into detail of what they wrote about the social values and attitudes of American people because that can be well judged by the title they gave to the book. The title of the book, The Lonely Crowd, itself reflects the miserable conditions of a so-called flourishing society. I will say it's not merely a title but a cry which came out spontaneously over the lamentable condition of their society. Imagine a crowd that is lonely. This is not a society but a crowd of people where everybody feels lonely. American observers discovered this fact now, but Quran has explained this much earlier in these words.
يتيما ذا مقربة.
To the orphan with claims of relationship. 90:15. A person who has claim of relationship should not feel himself an orphan. It looks that the American authors have used translation of this verse for their title. Quran enumerates the second trait of the beliers of Deen as
ولا يحض على طعام المسكين.
and encourages not the feeding of the indigent. 107.3. The root of miskin is sukunan or sakanun, which means that a person who cannot move or whose running business come to a halt or who is incapacitated for whatever reason. In our society, such people spend their whole life in misery. Quran says that the fate of such a society is destruction. In Surah Al-Far, Quran explains this. When a person closes his eyes from divine guidance, he boasts when he has abundance of economic resources, but when, because of his own deeds, he is in trouble, then he says my God has dishonored me for no reason. Quran says that it is not true, it has happened because
كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحضون على طعام المسكين.
Nay, nay. But ye honor not the orphans. Nor do ye encourage one another to feed the poor. 89:17-18. The reason for your being disgraced is that you have established a society in which people who are not considered worthy of respect have been left alone. Only the one who has a strong party is considered worthy of respect. And in that society there is no arrangement whereby if someone's business is affected for any reason, that at least he should not be deprived of sustenance. The affluent neither help him, nor do they persuade others to do so. Saleem, Quran says that those people who are left alone in the society deserve honor because though they are not members of any group or party but they are human beings and God considers every human being honorable.
ولقد كرمنا بني آدم وحملناهم في البر والبحر ورزقناهم من الطيبات وفضلناهم على كثير ممن خلقنا تفضيلا.
We have honored the sons of Adam, provided them with transport on land and sea, given them for sustenance things good and pure, and conferred on them special favors, above a great part of our creation. 1770. In other words, physical force working in the universe are mighty and powerful, but to mankind we have given superiority over all of them, and certainly we have honored man, and given him the knowledge as a result of which, he can conquer the forces of nature on land and sea and thus earn pleasant sustenance for himself. In fact we have given superiority to man over most of our creations. Saleem. Also understand that Quran has not charged them, beliers of Deen, with only these two crimes that 1. They do not honor yatim, and 2. They do not arrange food for masakeen, but it also said that they think that whatever they inherited from their ancestors is their sole property. And they use it exclusively.
وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما.
And ye devour inheritance all with greed. And ye love wealth with inordinate love. 89:19-20. In other words, they greedily devoured all that which came into their possession by way of inheritance from their forefathers. At the same time, just like how water flows down the valley towards the low-lying places, they planned that the wealth of other people should also be sucked towards them. This is the reason of their destruction. Not only that, Quran also says that the people who do not arrange food for masakeen and those who do not believe in God are the same. These both things are complementary. The man who does not arrange food for the masakeen actually does not believe in God. About the people who are condemned to hell, Quran says,
إنه كان لا يؤمن بالله العظيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين.
This was he that would not believe in Allah, the Most High. And, the reason, would not encourage the feeding of the indigent. 69:33-34. In other words, he is the one who did not have belief in Allah's supreme law of retribution. This is because of his attitude whereby he never persuaded other people to help in establishing an economic system in which every indigent person incapable of earning enough to support himself and his family, would continue getting means of nourishment. Faith in God must reflect itself in the economy of a people. Otherwise, it would be a lip service to God which Quran does not accept. Let us go back to Surah Al-Maun, from where we started this discussion.
أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين.
Sayest thou one who denies the judgment to come? Then such is the man who repulses the orphan with harshness and encourages not the feeding of the indigent. 107:1-3. In other words, his conduct testifies that if Deen is represented by his deeds, then all its claims are wrong. The essence of Deen is that no one should in the slightest feel that he is helpless. If for some reason a person's needs are unfulfilled, then he or she should be helped at once. However, see the attitude of this religionist. He pushes away the helpless, neither assisting the needy nor inducing others to do so.
فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم سهون.
So woe to the worshippers, Musallin, who are neglectful of their prayers, Salat. 107:4-5. In other words, in order to show himself to be a pious person, he offers a lot of prayers. For such people prayers become a source of self-deception because they are deceiving themselves, and others, that they are the virtuous ones. They, in fact, are oblivious to the concept of Salat. The objective of Salat is to establish a society in which everyone follows divine laws and every human being continues to receive livelihood. People are oblivious to its objective and their consequential responsibilities, and after performing visible rites, they believe they have fulfilled the duties assigned by the Almighty. 9:54. So woe to these worshippers. Saleem, you will be astonished that earlier discussion was related to the economic issue, that is food for masakeen, and after that Muzalan, Namatsi, are mentioned with the word fawail, which means that the result of what had been said earlier is that The Arabic word fa is used to show the consequences of what is said before. In other words, Quran says that the people who do not honor yatim and arrange food for masakin, in fact, they are the one who truly belie Deen. Therefore there is destruction for those musulman who are unaware of the real meanings of salat. It is clear from this that salat and economic system are interrelated. And it is their mistake that they don't know the real meanings of salat, that they consider it as a means of worship and do not realize that it has any connection with social and economic system. According to Quran, the real musulman are those who put the social and economic system under the divine laws. If the social and economic system of any nation is not based on the divine law, then their musulman salat, namaz, cannot be called salat. The result of this salat will be destruction. They are mistaken to think that the visible and physical movements such as sajda, ruku, rakats etc., which others can see is salat. In fact, these movements are symbol of real salat and, undoubtedly, these are also important because the reality expresses itself in symbolism, but not alone. These movements must not overcast the real objective of salat stated above. So it is clear that salat is not the name of these movements, but it has a wider concept, which is clear from the next verse, 107:5.
فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم سهون الذين هم يراءون.
But before going further, let us summarize what is discussed so far. 1. Did you see the man who belies Deen? 2. He is the man who shuns yatim and does not arrange food for masakin. 3. Therefore, there is destruction for those musulman who are unaware about the real salat. 4. They consider salat to those actions that are visible to others. And after that it is said, they block the supplies that are essential for development and to meet the basic needs. Al-Maun, 107:6. The outcome of such self-deception is that while on the one hand they do offer prayers, on the other they take total control of the sources of nourishment. These however should remain open and available, like ever-flowing springs, for all needy people. They are thus depriving the needy of the sources of nourishment, and thus belying Deen.
ويمنعون المعين.
Saleem, have you observed how Quran goes from economy to salat and from salat to economy? In connection with belying of Deen, the Quran first refers to yatima and masakin and within that framework mentions musulman. While discussing the wrong actions of musulman, came forth the economic aspect, depriving people of their basic needs. 107:6. It made this fact clear that salat and economy are closely related. So the belier of Deen are those musulman who are punctual in the physical postures of namaz but do not run their economic system in according with the divine law. This discussion also makes another point clear, that the Qurani ayat are comprehensive and linked with one another in harmony. This link be understood only when one had the central idea of Deen in mind. Then it becomes evident that all ayats, verses, of Quran revolve around this idea. But if this central idea is not in mind, then no link in relations is seen in the ayats. This is the reason that some people say that there is no consistency in the Quran. Quran's style is that at one place it mentions a point as a principle, then it explains that point at another place, sometimes with examples and sometimes with antonyms. People of hell, it is mentioned in Surah Al-Mudathir. People of Jannah will inquire from the people of hell that what was your crime that brought you there?
قالوا لم نك من المصلين ولم نك نطعم المسكين.
They will say, we were not of Musallin. Nor were we of those who fed the indigent. 74:43-44. In other words, the dwellers of Jahannam will say, our crime was that we did not join those who established the Nizam as-Salat. And we did not provide means of sustenance to those who were unable to earn.
وكنا نخوض مع الخائضين.
On the contrary, we were amongst those who talked vainly and did nothing practically. 74:45. After that is added,
وكنا نكذب بيوم الدين.
and we used to deny the day of judgment. 74:46. Thus we belied the law of retribution. We also considered the threat that one day our deeds would confront us in the form of destruction, to be a lie. Saleem, notice that again salat, musulman, food for masakin and belying of Deen is mentioned, but here Yawmuddin is mentioned instead of Deen. Yawm means time, age or period. Therefore, Yawmuddin mean the period in which the divine system is established. These people of hell will say that we were not among those who focused on the real meanings of salat and established salat. And in this way would have established a system which had taken care of the needs of Masakin. In this way we practically belied Deen's system. This means that through our actions we proved wrong the claim that only salat can establish a system which can satisfactorily solve economic problems. Surah Al-Tafif begins with this subject.
ويل للمطففين.
There is destruction for those who do not keep balance in economic affairs. 83:1.
الذين إذا اكتلوا على الناس يستوفون وإذا كلوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون.
Those who, when they have to receive by measure from men, exact full measure, but when they have to give by measure or weight to men, give less than due. 83:2-3. The fate of the capitalistic system and business mentality will ultimately be doomed. The importunity of such a mentality is to take the full measure when receiving, but at the time of giving, to give less than their due. They like to exploit the capabilities of others to the fullest extent, but do not want to give them full recompense. They pay the minimum to workers and keep the maximum for themselves. Not only do they do so in terms of material things, but also when assessing the worth of other people, they try to restrict their growth. They should never be allowed to grow to their full potential. They should be groomed only to the extent that suits the investor. They should not be given unnecessary freedom. Saleem, did you notice that Quran has explained comprehensively the behavior and mentality of the capitalist class? Weight and measurement is done either through scales or through the modern economic schemes. The same mentality is at work. After that, Quran tells about the result of this behavior.
يوم يقوم الناس لرب العالمين.
The great revolution will occur in this way, and universal mankind will rise to establish the divine law of potential development. Rizbubiyat. 83:6.
ويل يومئذ للمكذبين الذين يكذبون بيوم الدين.
Woe, that day, to the beliers, those who belie the day of judgment. 83:10-11. There will be doom and destruction for the Mukazabin, the people who belie the day of judgment. Saleem, here also Mukazabin are called those people who do not establish their economic system on equity and justice. Tasdiki Deen, in contrast to belying of Deen, Quran uses the term confirmation of Deen. First Quran tells us who belies Deen, now it will explain who confirms Deen. In Surah Marriage, it is said that Jahannam is
تدعو من أدبر وتول.
Summoning back everyone who had turned away from the divine system and had sought avenues of escape. 70:17. This is a matter of principle. After that Quran pinpoints.
وجمع فأوعى.
Who pileth up wealth and layeth it by. 70:18. In other words, a person whose only aim in life is to amass wealth and then keep on counting how much has he collected, this becoming his main purpose in life, develops a tendency to find 101 faults with any reformer who stands up criticize the capitalistic system. Quran says that this does not apply to a particular person, but it is human nature that if he does not follow the divine law, he becomes greedy and his want for wealth becomes insatiable. The result of this mentality is that
إن الإنسان خلق هلوعا إذا مسه الشر جزوعا وإذا مسه الخير منوعا.
He becomes fretful when evil touches him, and niggardly when good reaches him. 70:19-20-21. He is so impatient and restless that even if he is just barely afflicted, he raises a hue and cry. He is so miserly that although he possesses everything, he keeps denying that he has anything. He has the attitude of being so hungry that despite acquiring surplus wealth, he does not give even a penny to the needy. This is the same condition that has been described in Surat Maun in these words. They block the supplies that are essential for development and to meet the basic needs. 107:7. The outcome of such self-deception is that while on the one hand they do offer prayers, on the other they take total control of the sources of nourishment. These, however, should remain open and available, like an ever-flowing stream, for all needy people. They are thus depriving the needy of the sources of nourishment, and therein commit the offense of belying Deen. After that Quran tells us solution of this problem.
إلا المصلين الذين هم على صلاتهم دائمون.
Not so are the Muslimin. 70:22. Those who remain steadfast to their salat, eternally. 70:23. In other words, Quran says that the people who are real Muslimin do not do this. Instead of following their selfish interests, they obey and follow the divine law of rizbubiyat, potential development, and are ever steadfast and firm in this attitude. Those are real Muslimin who follow the right path steadfastly, and not those who decide certain matters in accordance with the divine law and ignore in other matters. Or sometimes abided the divine law and sometimes tried to find ways to avoid its compliance. Saleem, did you notice, in the beginning only economic issue was under discussion, that the common human mentality is that he accumulates wealth and is never feels satisfied, and then Muslimin are mentioned. This makes clear that according to the Quran, economy and salat are deeply interrelated. Let us see what God says after Muslimin.
والذين في أموالهم حق معلوم للسائل والمحروم.
These are the one in whose wealth is a recognized right, as of law. For the benefit of needy, sale, and deprived one, marum. 70:24-25. Thus by showing their generosity, they are in fact admitting the reality that their wealth is not only for their own use, but also for those whose resources cannot meet their needs, or those who became incapacitated and are unable to earn, thus being deprived of the necessities of life. It is their established right, as of law, which is well known to everyone. Therefore, the generous ones are only returning to them their rights, not charity, and are not keeping anything with them, which is beyond their needs. A person whose needs are not fully met is called sale, and a person who is incapable of fulfilling his needs is also called sale. Another point is that Quran does not say that wealthy people should give something in charity to those who do not have economic resources. It is a dishonor for a human being to live on charity. This is against human dignity, and Quran does not create a class of beggars. That is why Quran says that in the salat system, everybody will have resources for living as a matter of right. This will not be a charity or favor. That is why Quran says,
والله فضل بعضكم على بعض في الرزق فما الذين فضلوا برد رزقهم على ما ملكت أيمانهم فهم فيه سواء أفبنعمة الله يجحدون.
Allah has blessed some of you with abundant sustenance and riches, then why the blessed one do not share it with their employees, who have got a due right in it, so that they should enjoy the blessing of God, equally. If they do not act accordingly, it would be as if they are denying the blessing of God to themselves. 1671. Different individuals possess different capacities for work. Every program or project requires the cooperation of all for its accomplishment. The divine system of potential development, Nizami Rizbubiyat, requires that the produce should be distributed amongst all according to their needs. Those who possess greater capability, or power, generally do not adhere to this nizam, thinking that according to this arrangement all people will become equal and they, therefore, take more than the others. They thus challenge and assert that the means of production and the capacity to earn are not endowed by Allah. Let us recall the verses that we referred so far. They, the dwellers of Jahannam, will say, our crime was that we did not join those who established the Nizam Salat. And we did not provide means of sustenance to those who were unable to earn. On the contrary, we were amongst those who talked vainly, and did nothing practically. We thus belied the law of Mukafat. We also considered the threat that one day our deeds would confront us in the form of destruction, to be a lie. 74:43-46. O Rasul! Explicitly tell these people that, a person whose only aim in life is to amass wealth and then keep on counting how much has he collected, this becoming his main purpose in life, develops a tendency to find 101 faults with any reformer who stands up criticize the capitalistic system. He even slanders such a reformer, making all this effort mainly to cause a split amongst his followers. He is so impatient and restless that even if he is just barely afflicted, he raises a hue and cry. He is so miserly that although he possesses everything, he keeps denying that he has anything. He has the attitude of being so hungry that despite acquiring surplus wealth, he does not give even a penny to the needy. However, the people who are Muslimin do not do this. Instead of following their selfish interests, they obey and follow the divine law of Rizbubiyat and are steadfast and firm in this attitude. 70:20-24. After that, Quran says,
والذين يصدقون بيوم الدين.
And those who hold to the truth of the day of judgment. 70:26. These people firmly believe in the law of Mukafat, and with their actions they substantiate their claim to Iman. Saleem, did you notice how Quran clarifies its central themes by repeating verses tasrifi ayat? First it tells us about those who belie Deen and then who confirm Deen. In Surat Qiyamat, this explanation is given in a nutshell.
فلا صدق ولا صلى ولكن كذب وتول.
So he did not confirm the truth and did not follow the God's path. Instead he belies the truth and tries to escape it. 75:31-32. Quran has given example of Pharaoh for those who belie Deen and find ways to avoid the divine law. He also kazaba wa tawala the divine truth. Pharaoh's era had witnessed convergence of three major curses, which the mankind is suffering down the history. These are, I, the priesthood of Haman. 2, the capitalism of Qarun, and 3, the despotism of Pharaoh. Prophet Musa told Pharaoh,
إنا قد أوحي إلينا أن العذاب على من كذب وتول.
Verily it has been revealed to us that the God's scourge will be upon those who belie the truth and try to find ways of escapism. 20:48. Now you can decide for yourself which course you want to adopt. In Surat Layl, the comparison of taksib and tasdik is highlighted in a more impressive way ends.
إن سعيكم لشتى.
Verily, the ye strive for are diverse. 92:4. This diversity is for the distribution of functions, labor. Due to this distribution, the aims and outcomes of your endeavors in social life are different. This is how the system functions so smoothly. It is a fact that the struggle of different people has different direction, but if all are classified, then in principle these struggles seems to be in two kinds only and their results will be.
فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسن.
So he gives what is beyond his needs, and thereby abide by the God's law. He is the one who, in all sincerity, testifies to the best. 92:5-6. In other words, whosoever, considering all mankind to be one entity, gives out of his hard-earned money for the nourishment of others, is careful not to create unevenness in society, and gracefully keeps its balance intact, he gives practical proof of the truthfulness of his conviction, that on the basis of their origin all human beings are alike.
فسنيسره لليسرى.
We will indeed make smooth for him the path to ease. 92:7. Thus our law of Rizbubiyyat helps him pass with ease through various stages of life.
وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسن.
But he who is a greedy miser and thinks himself self-sufficient, and gives the lie to the best. 92:8-9. On the other hand, for the one who amasses everything for himself thinking that he is self-sufficient and independent of others, thus practically belying and disturbing the balance of society, al-husna.
فسنيسره للعسرى.
We will indeed make smooth for him the path to misery. 92:10. In other words, God's law of mukafat makes the passages of his life difficult.
وما يغني عنه ماله إذا ترد.
And his wealth will not profit him when he fall headlong, due to his conduct. 92:11.
ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب.
When he falls into the ditch of destruction, the wealth, which he thought made him independent of others, would be of no avail to him. Also CV 69:28, 111:2. His wealth will not save him from destruction that is the definite consequence of his capitalist mentality. He adopts this behavior because he thinks that a man should follow his own decisions and not the divine law in the matters of wealth and economic resources.
إن علينا للهدى.
Verily we take upon ourselves to guide. 92:12. He had adopted this course of action relying only on his intellect. However, intellect alone teaches one to only safeguard personal interests, because it is incapable of looking beyond personal gains. The right guidance, in this respect, can only be given by Allah's wahi, revelation.
وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى.
And verily unto us belong the end and the beginning. 92:13. In other words, Quran says that God considers present of man as well as his future, development of his physical life as well as afterlife. This is because wahi has in view man's immediate gains as well as his future pleasures. While man only keeps his self-interest in mind, we keep the interest of the whole humanity. The fate of any person or system that considers his self-interest as the objective of life is only cause for destruction.
فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى.
Therefore do I warn you of a fire blazing fiercely? 92:14. So O Rasul, caution the people who do not accept the guidance of our Wahi that their attitude is taking them towards the path of Jahannam, the blazing fire of which will burn everything to ashes.
لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتول.
Verse 92:15. None shall reach it but most of those unfortunate ones who give the lie to truth and turn their backs. 92:16. That is the one who belies our laws and seeks ways of escapism. On the contrary,
وسيجنبها الأتقى.
the one who guards the divine laws is, however, kept away and safe from this destruction. 92:17. Who is Mutaki? Now the question is, who is Mutaki? The next verse gives answer to this.
الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى.
Those who spend their wealth for increase in self's development. 92:18. In other words, he is the one who, in times of need, gives away everything that he owns for the nourishment of others. In this way his own self also receives nourishment and develops. Saleem. Notice that these verses also clarify the meaning of mutaki. It means a person who spends his wealth on the development of others. In this way his self is also developed. See also that taqwa and economic matters are closely related. About those people who take other meanings of taqwa and tazkiyah in nafs and consider that they are related to spiritualism, Quran says,
فلا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتق.
Therefore justify not yourselves, he knows best who it is that guards against evil. 53:32. These people, mutaki, avoid the serious offenses that slow down the growth of human personality and the deeds, which spread abominations. However, in a situation when one realizes this and immediately corrects oneself, or even if he makes an unintentional mistake, and thereafter corrects himself, then one is forgiven the consequences of such deeds. In other words, this means that the weight of their good deeds is so heavy that it provides protection against the ill effects of minor unintentional mistakes. This shows the abounding magnanimity of the divine law of mukafat. Only God knows and can tell who is mutaki, and God says that mutaki is. In contrast to mutaki is one about whom Quran says,
أفرأيت الذي تولى وأعطى قليلا وأكد.
Did you see the one who turns back, find escapism? Gives a little, then hardens his heart? 53:33-34. In order to judge the extent of development of one's personality, the basic standard is how much one gives away for meeting the needs of other people. However, you will see so many people who turn away from this divine standard. They give only a little for the benefit of others and then stiffen up like a stone. Despite such an attitude, they judge their own deeds by their self-devised measures and consider themselves to be very noble and pious. Who is not mutaki? In Surat Layl, Quran used the word ataka in comparison of ashka, who will be consigned to hell. But what is shakawat? In Surat Ta, it is clarified in these words.
ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشق.
We have not sent down the Quran to put you in toil. 22. This code will bestow a pleasant and successful life on you. The initial stages of this revolutionary program shall certainly be difficult, but ultimately it is only you who shall be successful. Shakawat means deprivation of bounties and facing severe hardships. Therefore, the meaning of this verse is that any nation that spends life according to Quran will never be deprived of bounties and will not face hardships. Now the question arises, what are those bounties and severe hardships? The explanation of this is given with the example of the story of Adam. He was spending life in such a way that there was no fear of hunger, thirst, clothing, or home. All these things were available very easily and in abundance.
إن لك ألا تجوع فيها ولا تعر وأنك لا تظمأ فيها ولا تضحى.
God said to Adam, there is enough provision for thee not to go hungry nor to go naked, nor to suffer from thirst, nor from the sun's heat. 2118,119. You get all the food to eat, water to drink, clothes to wear, and houses to live in. All this is available without struggle. This was the society in which mankind was living in the early stages of human life. Then we said,
فقلنا يا آدم إن هذا عدو لك ولزوجك فلا يخرجنكما من الجنة فتشق.
O Adam! Verily, this is, Satan, an enemy to thee and thy wife, so let him not get you both out of the garden, so that thou art landed in misery. Fa Tashka 21:17. In other words, God told Adam that Satan is his enemy as well as that of his spouse, lest it drives both of them out of this blissful life of Jannah. The result will be that you will be deprived of all life's necessities, which presently are easily and abundantly available to you, and to attain them again, you will have to labor hard and strenuously. Adam was trapped in Satan's mischief and was deprived of all comforts of life. This made Adam sad. He asked God now what he should do to achieve the same life of paradise. God told him that don't become hopeless. You can get all the facilities of paradise provided you should not follow your own thinking, follow our guidance. The result will be
فإن يأتينكم مني هدى فمن اتبع هداي فلا يضل ولا يشق.
neither you will lose the straight path nor fall into misery. 21:23. In other words, whoever follows this guidance will neither go astray nor be deprived of the pleasures of life, and be involved in the rigors of life, as stated in 20:17 above. In this way Allah guided him towards the paths leading to all kinds of exhilaration. Mankind was thus saved from eternal ruination. But those who will not follow the divine laws, it is said,
ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى.
And whosoever turns away from my message, verily for him is a life narrowed down, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of judgment. 21:24. At the same time it was also explained to him that means of subsistence will be restricted for whoever turns away from divine laws. Furthermore, on the day of judgment, we shall raise him as if he was blind. All the bright and shining avenues of life shall darken for him, and this result will occur in this life as well as in the hereafter. Saleem. Notice that in comparison of Atka came Ashka, which means deprivation of the basic necessities of life and hard struggle to achieve them. Therefore, Mutaki is a person who has all means of life and abundance and opens his resources, which he earned with hard labor, for the development of others. This discussion clarifies that according to Quran there is a deep relationship between Salat and economic system. And at this point, it also becomes clear that Salat is not confined to Masjid but it encompasses the whole life. Salat is the name of a system in which all members of society follow the divine laws, while daily congregations of Salat are part of the system. From this discussion you will understand what is the meaning of
أتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعين.
Verily, the prayer restrains from shameful and unjust deeds, and the law of Allah, al-Zikr, is the greatest thing in life, without doubt. 29:45. Nizama Salat will certainly stop people from collecting everything for themselves and from not caring about the welfare of others. And to further this selfish purpose their intellect keeps on suggesting various strange and crafty ways to them. Fasha means miserness and munkar means evil thinking through which a human being wants to keep everything for himself. This mentality and behavior becomes an obstacle in the system of Salat. This verse is actually an explanation of the verses of Surat Marriage.
وجمع فأوعى إن الإنسان خلق هلوعا إذا مسه الشر جزوعا وإذا مسه الخير منوعا إلا المصلين الذين هم على صلاتهم دائمون.
And amass wealth, and hide it in sacks. Truly man is created very impatient, fretful when evil touches him, and niggardly when good reaches him. Not so are the Musallin, those who remain steadfast to their Salat. 70:18-23. In other words, he does not keep his wealth freely available for public welfare, but amasses and hoards it by filling his coffers and blocking all its outlets. Just reflect on how, without the guidance of Wahi, a human being comes down to animal level. He becomes narrow-minded, greedy and restless. He is so impatient and restless that even if he is just barely afflicted, he raises a hue and cry. He is so miserly that although he possesses everything, he keeps denying that he has anything. He has the attitude of being so hungry that despite acquiring surplus wealth, he does not give even a penny to the needy. However, the people who are Musallin do not do this. Instead of following their selfish interests, they obey and follow the divine law of Rizbubiyat and are steadfast and firm in this attitude. This has also clarified that who belies Deen? In the words of Surat Maun, then such is the man who repulses the orphan with harshness and encourages not the feeding of the indigent. 107:3. So such Muslimin are destined for destruction who do not know the real meaning of salat and consider its parts as reality. Instead of keeping economic resources for the benefit of others, he blocks them for his own benefit. Yumuddin, maybe, some people insist on translating Yumuddin, 70:26, as the day of reckoning. But from the facts brought earlier, this translation will also not make any difference. The meaning of jaza and saza will be when in accordance with the divine law of mukafat, human deeds bring results. This means that the divine law is firm that every deed will yield a specific result. The result of the deeds in accordance with the divine law will be facilities of life and happiness, while the violators of the divine laws are destined for destruction. A person who adopts selfish behavior and thinks that it will not result in destruction belies the divine law of mukafat. Quran says very clearly that a nation that will adopt this behavior and establish such kind of economic system will never survive and achieve stability. That will be destroyed, and it will be replaced by a nation with a better behavior and capability. In Surat Muhammad, Quran says,
ها أنتم هؤلاء تدعون لتنفقوا في سبيل الله فمنكم من يبخل ومن يبخل فإنما يبخل عن نفسه والله الغني وأنتم الفقراء وإن تتولوا يستبدل قوما غيركم ثم لا يكونوا أمثالكم.
Behold, ye are those invited to spend of your substance in the way of Allah. But among you are some that are niggardly. But any who are niggardly are so at the expense of their own souls. But Allah is free of all wants, and it is ye that are needy. If ye turn back from the path, he will substitute in your stead another people, then they would not be like you. 47:38. This is so because the law for life, death, and supremacy amongst nations is that only the nation with the correct system of life survives. Those which opt for a wrong system are destroyed and replaced by another nation that opt for a better system. The decisions about the rise and fall of nations are taken in light of their ideologies and practical implementation program for the same. His law of mukafat will replace you with another nation that will not be like you. This is a firm divine law, and if anybody thinks that this will not happen, capitalist system will last forever, and the result of this wrong behavior can be prevented through namaz. He belies Deen. He tries to prove the divine law of mukafat yamal is wrong. The divine law of rise and fall of nation cannot be proved wrong. September 19, 56. This letter of Allama Parwez was published in 1956. Since then he wrote extensively on salat, zakat, economic system, and taksib and tasdik. Those interested in the details of these subjects should study his tafsir of Quran, Mutalab al-Furqan. We will only add, Quran mentions those who belie Deen, that is those people who do not abandon Islam and adopt another religion, but being a Muslim adopt a behavior from which non-Muslims lead to conclude that Islam's claim that it provides solution to all human problems is wrong. If its claim was true, then the condition of the followers of Islam would not have been like that miserable. The Quran says, who try to find ways to avoid the divine law, God replaces that nation. Ways of avoidance means that they do not deny Deen's way but adopt such behavior that apparently shows that they are fulfilling the objectives of Islam, but in reality they are not. God says he sends another nation in their place who is not like them. It is a point to ponder if this promise of God does not apply on us.